Hey kids, we're back. We're live from Guitar Quackery. You're watching Guitar Quackery Live. Not to be confused with the other channel, which is called Guitar Quackery. Here you are watching a live stream, or you are watching a replay of a live stream. Right now, I have 0 people watching, so I know you're watching a replay if you're seeing this. All right, what are we doing here? There's a guitar outside on the neck jig. That's a Martin with a maple body. So maple sides and back, spruce top. It's an M-64. They didn't make many of them, right? Now, I am doing fret work on the guitar. The frets have significant wear, and we are going to level the frets and recrown them and polish. I discovered something on the bridge, which so right now you're watching part 3 of this series, and if you go back to part 2, you will see what I discovered. It's something we need to fix. It needs to be fixed. It can't just be left like that, because it's just going to get worse. I'm lazy, so I'm sitting here. Yeah, so Guitar Quackery Live is the live streaming channel of Guitar Quackery. You're, seeing Guitar Quackery. Now this is a little repair shop. It's the smallest guitar repair shop in the city, in New York. I believe it's the smallest one. And I have 2 channels. I actually got 3 channels, but I got 2 Guitar Quackery channels right now. One is the main channel, where you can watch the content that I produce. And this channel is the live channel. You can watch only live streams. So if you want to catch me at my work, you gotta subscribe to this channel, and maybe you catch me one day in real time. Also, what's good about this channel is it's not edited. So I will show you everything that I do on the guitar and explain as much as I can, I guess. So it's a good educational channel. What else? Sometimes I might be streaming while I'm working on a guitar and talking about something else. So that's something that I'm practicing. I've done it a little bit. Yesterday, in fact, I was talking about tariffs on guitars, doing a live stream. That went well. It didn't even get political, so that's good. And yeah, because it's important to understand those tariffs and how they will affect us in our guitar playing community. So you can watch that live stream, but it's not titled Tariffs. What is it titled? I don't know. Whatever. You see the date of this live stream is the one before. Okay. From yesterday, which was December 18th, 2024. Okay. That's that. Now, the guitar is on the neck jig, and here it is. We see it right here. I did put a little cover on it for now. How you doing? But I will remove this cover while I'm working on the fretboard, and I'll explain why. I need to prepare the frets. So what I'll do is I will put red marker on the frets. I do have a red marker right here, and I typically use one of those. I don't know which size is good for this guitar, just to mark the frets so that I don't mark the fingerboard. So why don't we go do that right now? Yeah, what are we waiting for? There. So let's see. This seems to be the good size, and this one is bigger. All right, so I'll use the smaller one. We have a camera here as well, so you can see better. This time I'm actually doing a tutorial. I wish I had a close-up camera here, but I don't. I already have too many cameras as it is, and I'm not really planning on buying any new cameras anytime soon. But I think that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going over all the frets with a red marker. So once I start removing the material from the frets, it will enable me to see exactly what I'm doing. Obviously, we want to, when we level the fretboard, when we level the frets, not the board, we want to remove all of the red, right? That tells us that we've leveled all of the frets to the same height, to the same level, okay? Now, you could do it without the red marker if you use a purple marker. No, no, you can do it without a marker. I've done it. It doesn't look too good on camera on YouTube, but you can get the same results if you know what you're doing. Basically, in that case, you would look at the reflection, and you would be able to see where you've sanded down material and exposed freshly exposed metal, right? Which is nice and shiny, and you also see the little tool marks, not tool marks, you know, from the sandpaper. So that's that. All right. So I'm done with this. Let's put this away. And before I get into it, I just want to check my battery levels. So I have the laptop here, which needs a little boost. I have a timer on the charger, so I never overcharge the battery. But I don't want to run out of juice. The microphone battery is good. The transmitter battery, I mean, and the receiver as well. Okay, so the sound should not get cut off. I will be using a variety of tools, and I want to split this level, crown, and polish into 2 or maybe even 3 parts. Maybe 3 parts: level, crown, and polish, just to keep these videos not too long, okay? In part 1 of this series, I measured the fingerboard radius, and we determined that it's a 14-inch radius. So here you can see this says focus, focus. Okay, autofocus is not always good, but trust me, this says 14 on it. Oh, come on. I don't know why it works sometimes and sometimes not. Okay, I don't know. There you go, 14-inch. This is a phenomenal tool made by Skyscraper Guitar. I am not at all affiliated with Skyscraper Guitars, but I have their tools, and I highly recommend if you are a guitar technician. So this is a 20-inch long sanding beam. The StewMac version is 18 inches long. So, and I've used the StewMac version, and I also love it. But it's 18 inches long, and this is 20 inches long. So sometimes I really like to have that extra length. Here, I'm going to prep a little jig. What is this? This is just a block of wood, plywood, and it has a double-sided tape at the bottom like this, okay? So we'll get back to this, but I will need to use some tape. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this tape on the guitar, or maybe I should probably use this tape, the non-stick, the really delicate surface tape, okay? Yeah, so I don't damage the finish. But we are going to put some tape on the guitar and then put this on the tape so that we don't use the, really sticky glue on the finish of the guitar. So that is going to help me keep the leveling beam aligned, so that when I level the frets, so that I don't go this way, okay? So on the guitar side, I use this. On the headstock side, I use another technique I will explain. Once again, this is a tutorial, full tutorial, so I'm going over all the details. And I'm also working on the guitar. Am I forgetting anything? Okay, so the first pass that I do after I mark the frets in red is actually not going to be with this. It's going to be with a straight, not a radius leveling beam, right? This one is a Music Nomad L beam, 17.5 inches long. I have their 7-inch version as well for other purposes. I have, I think this is 600 grit, but well used, so it must be about 800 grit now. And here's 400 grit, which, I'm sorry, it's 320. I can see through here, which must be, I guess, around 400, or maybe even close to 600 grit, because it's been used so much, right? I have links in the description. Those are Amazon affiliate links, which means that I get a small commission at no extra cost to you if you buy those things through those links. I put links to sandpaper. Now, I switched. So this, I'm still using up some old sandpaper. This is 3M, but I switched to a new brand, and honestly, I like it even better. It lasts longer. So the new brand, I forget what it's called, is the brand that's linked in the description. Am I forgetting anything? Okay, so I will start with this. Why am I starting with this? I'm starting with the straight beam just to get an initial read, right? So I know that I have a little bit of a fall away here on the guitar, on the fingerboard extension, and that means that the leveling beam should not remove any red from here, right? So we're really focused right now on these frets here, all the way to the 14th fret, right? I made all the adjustments of the neck and the neck jig as best as I could. Sometimes you need to tweak your adjustments after this test, so we'll see. So I'm just going to go in this direction a little bit, kind of like an X, okay? And I am just paying attention to where the sanding beam is removing the material. Hey, friend of mine. I forgot something. See, this is why I have this cover, so that I can put the tools on the guitar. But I did forget something. Somebody's watching. Somebody's watching live. Maybe it's the owner of the guitar. I doubt it, because I think he's busy right now. Yeah, here we go. Okay. I also forgot my fret rocker. So seems like we have one fret that's a little higher than the surrounding frets. The 6th fret. Which is throwing me off a little bit, to be honest. But now I am, you see, I'm holding the sanding beam here in the middle, right where that high fret is, so that I'm focusing on that high fret. And now I've leveled it off. Again, this is a very, very fine sandpaper, so it takes quite a few passes to make a difference. And as you can see, I'm doing X pattern, trying to maintain the radius. Yeah, so definitely this was a high fret. And here, not surprisingly, this shows a high fret here. Okay. I think I don't need to readjust the neck, right? This was the purpose of this test. But I do need to mount that little block on the guitar before I can use the curved, the radiused sanding beam. So, like I said, I have tape. Let me see, because I got different kinds of tape. I think, to be honest with you, this should be safe to use on this guitar. This is not a very vintage guitar, so I'm going to use this tape. It's going to hold this more securely, and then I'll mount this little block there. Okay, all right. So here we go. So I just want to expose this part of the guitar. Yeah, this should be safe. And if not, then we'll do a tutorial on finish repair. Nah, it's going to be fine. Okay, so that's that. This will be mounted here, but I need to put, I I need to remove that cover as well. Okay. This is a fresh paper. You can use for this 320 or 400 grit. So now what I do is I place this here, and with my fingers around I can feel if this is centered. I also want to, you know, obviously use my eyes to look at it and also feel if it's seated properly. Okay, and now unfortunately I don't have a camera on this side, but I'm holding this down firmly and I'm mounting this small block. Okay, here, right on the tape. Okay, it's a very good idea to protect this part and here as well, so I'm going to obviously do that. I'll use the same tape. This is padded, obviously. Okay, too short. Okay, that's good. And then on the other side as well. Yeah, never take any chances with guitars. Just tape it off. That, and I'll put a tape here as well. Okay, we're good to go. And now I could go over the frets with a red marker again. I don't really think it's necessary, but let's start this sanding, okay? Just want to make sure everything is seated well. And, sorry, you need to have a really good posture for this, okay? So you can see, so here on this side, I am placing my fingertips on both sides of the neck so that I can kind of judge that I'm centered. And here I have this guide, right? So just a few initial passes. And now I am just going to look at the fingerboard, at the frets. So this is a high fret. And this fret seems to be still a little high. Well, I mean, it's hitting it, right? So just keep an eye on that. I am confident that this is going well, so I'm doing quite a few passes before I dust it off. Yeah, so the 13th fret is high, and I mean, the 6th fret was high, but now it looks very flat. compared to the other frets, and I still see dimples on the worn frets, right? I don't want to push too much here over the fingerboard extension because I don't want this to tilt and start hitting the frets here. So I want to focus my pressure more here. So those are all subtleties that hopefully can help you. Yeah, I do this in the spirit of sharing, you know, knowledge. I think YouTube should be used, I mean, is used by many as an educational platform. So I'm making my contribution towards that educational effort. In fact, that's how humanity evolved, right? We pass on the knowledge and the skills to younger generations. It's amazing how much you can learn from YouTube channels such as this one. Which brings me to a point. If you're learning anything from this, just make sure that you let YouTube know by clicking the like button. And if you like this free education, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link to buy me a coffee right there in the description. Thank you. And if this is not for you, I'm still happy we met. And you can find another channel. Just don't tell anyone that this is not a good channel, because, if it wasn't good for you, it doesn't mean it's not going to be good for someone else. Yeah, so obviously, when we sand in this direction, we put little tool marks in this direction, right? But at the end, we will correct that. Oh, it's also important not to be doing this, right? Because that would put a smaller radius on the frets. I've heard that some technicians actually might use, let's say, a 15 or 16-inch radius sanding block. I don't know where they find a 15-inch one, but I've heard some people do have it, in order to achieve a 14-inch radius on the frets, because they say that they cannot keep their hands steady, right? I don't have this problem, and again, you can see how I'm holding the sanding beam, and it's the body position also that helps me. But these two fingers help me monitor the direction and tilt, which there should be no tilt of the sanding beam as I'm sanding. And if you use fine sandpaper, it's going to take a little bit longer, but you won't be putting deep cuts into the frets, right? So I prefer to control it slowly than to try to rush through. Because last thing I want to do is a free refret, which I have done. First free refret I did was when I discovered that the neck had a twist. So I started sanding, and I noticed, right, that the neck had a twist, but I thought I would be able to correct it. And then on one side, the frets were so low that you could really notice, and on the other side, they were still high. So that didn't look good. So I had to pull the frets out, plane the fingerboard first to make the fingerboard true, and then install new frets. And the customer only paid for a level crown and polish. This was many, many years ago. So I've learned from mistakes. And that's why the initial pass is important. So you can get a read of the fingerboard. You can discover imperfections that do not show up when you just use the fret rocker. And then you can stop the job, and you can discuss with the customer. There's no neck twist here. But speaking of the fret rocker, I think I should get it and then just go over all the frets. I still got some work to do, but it's getting there. Now on acoustic guitars, I feel that I can remove more material from the frets than I'd feel comfortable removing from the frets of electric guitars. And that's simply because you don't bend strings on acoustic guitars, right? Most people don't, right? Let me see. Let me check everything here. The audience is very small right now. All right, so whoever's watching this, there's only one person. Thank you for watching live, but hopefully people will watch it in replay. Okay. What else do I need? The fret rocker? Okay, I think I'm good. And if not, well, if not, then I'll, come back. I always check the frets with a fret rocker when I first see a guitar on the bench, but at that time the strings are on. And so there are some uneven frets. This is a low spot here. Okay, that 6th fret is now leveled off with the 2 adjacent frets. And although you would think that you don't need the fret rocker because you can see exactly what you're doing when you mark the frets off in red, it's just good to confirm everything with the fret rocker. Sometimes things don't show up perfectly, and that's simply because the hand might not be holding the sanding beam perfectly, or sometimes the grit gets accumulated between the sandpaper, between the abrasive and the other frets, and then the abrasive powder is removing the red, and you think that the sandpaper is actually hitting the frets, but it isn't yet. So there are many good reasons why we should always check with the fret rocker. Oh, I forgot to say, so Guitar Quackery is a little repair shop, right? In the middle of the big city called New York City. Where's my thing? My brush. I just had it. Okay. It's not here. Oh, I left it inside. So yes, so this is the repair shop in Guitar Quackery. But it's the smallest shop in town, I think. But it's in a, medium-sized, rather large music studio, a rehearsal studio with other services such as workshops, lessons, jams. I do the repair here. I just rent the space, so it is a separate business, but we have a reciprocal relationship, okay? You scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of relationship. And we have a business relationship. But yeah, so I recommend that you visit Music Makers. The full name is Bob Elliott's Music Makers NY. Bob Elliott is the owner. Honestly, one of the, no, I think the best person I've ever met in this business. So, if you happen to be in New York City, drop by. Or if you're visiting. Good people work here, and also good people come here to play music. I've never seen any really difficult people here. A lot of daytime professionals come here as recreational musicians to play, to join the workshops and the jams. Yeah, I don't want to sound like an infomercial, but I also feel that it helps the community know about music makers. Because, some people might just be busy working people, professionals, or just working people, well, professionals, right? But not professional musicians. And they just don't want to bother figuring things out, so they do have turnkey solutions here. So Bob Elliott says that he wants music makers to be known as the one-stop shopping for all your music needs. Yeah. So this is hitting the frets quite a bit in some places, but we need to sand it down to remove all of those high spots that surround the low spots. Sometimes it's a good idea to do a little bit of a compound radius. So in this case, we have most of the fretware in first position here. And I could round off the frets in first position a little bit more than the frets at the body joint, so that basically we do end up with a little bit of a compound radius. Now with this block here, I can maintain the position here, but with my fingers here I can move the position of the sending beam in this area. So when I go a little bit diagonally, it'll result in a smaller radius in first position and just becoming the 14-inch radius that we have here. And right now I feel that's a good call, because I still see the dimples, and I just want to put a little bit of a compound radius there. We will have to adjust the nut anyway, so and I can already see that this is making a difference here in first position. Okay, so this is instead of removing more materials from the entire fretboard all across all the frets, right? So now I'm not in alignment. The sanding beam is not in perfect alignment with the center line of the neck, right? If that makes sense. This is the second guitar on this neck jig in this month, I believe. The previous one was a Gibson SG from the 1970s that was refretted really badly, and I also had to make that call and do a little bit of a compound radius. So if you want to see that job, I think the playlist is titled 1970s Gibson SG fretwork or something like that. That was just a few weeks ago. And here I'm really happy with my decision, because this is really hitting the first few frets on the side, and those dimples which are still there are becoming smaller and smaller. And I'm also putting just a little more pressure down with this hand and kind of focusing the pressure on this side of the fretboard, right? Which I'm sure makes sense. I am almost done with this. Okay, so now maybe one more pass. So this produces a lopsided situation on the fingerboard radius, right? On the fretboard radius over the frets, right? Not the fingerboard. So now we want to do the same on the other side. I could do one more pass, because I still see a little hint of those dimples. Because yeah, during fret leveling, the goal is to remove as little material as possible, but as much as needed. And a little more is needed. Obviously, I have a neck jig. The guitar is jigged up on this neck jig. This is a little harder to do on the bench. Not impossible. Maybe one day I make a video tutorial. I guess maybe I would need to charge less, to the customer, because I wouldn't be doing it on the neck jig. So maybe if this job is over someone's budget, I can make an exception and do it on the workbench, just to end up with a video. That way, that one customer would save a little money, and there would be another tutorial. Because I do understand that this is maybe not the most valuable tutorial for everyone, since most people don't have a neck jig. But I think there's still some good information, just general information, in this tutorial. This is good. Okay, so now I misaligned the sending beam in this direction this time, and now I am going to do it in the opposite direction, right? And do a few passes. So now the sending beam, as you can see, is hitting. See, this is the removal of the metal, is hitting these frets on the base side, and probably not even hitting the frets on the treble side at all. But yeah, obviously, I'm putting a little bit of a compound radius on the frets, but not on the fret board, right? The board is still going to be the same. So like I said, we want to remove as little material as possible. Now, you know that I spent more time on the treble side. But now the base side is completely good, and I don't want to be removing more material, because we want to preserve as much of the fret height as possible, right? Okay, so I'm done with the radius beam. Now I can remove that block from here, this. And now finish with the straight beam. This is it. I do have a finer grit on this side, so I will start with this one. And here I am going to use this technique, kind of like X pattern. Really what I'm doing now is more scratch removal, right? Because most of the work was done with the radius beam. So we have a little bit of a fall away. And really, I thought it would start at the 14th fret, but it starts really at the 16th fret. And those frets are already lower than the rest of the fretboard, so there's really not much need. I mean, I could level them down a little more, but I don't really see the need to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this around eventually, but first I am going to use this short leveling beam to put a little more relief on the base side right here. So this way we'll have a little bit of a differential relief when we adjust the truss rod. Okay. Not too much. Just a little bit. And I want to end everything in this direction. But we'll still do some sanding with the after we recrown. So yeah. Okay, that's that. So now I could use this short one to work on the fall away, maybe just to show you. So basically I would be doing this. But like I said, there's already more fall away than I think we need really. And finish off in this direction. Okay. See, I'm glad I put the tape here. And now I take the long sanding beam and I use the other side, right? We used this side before and I use this side. And I'm going to still do a little bit of an X pattern and then finish off in this direction. I think this is good. Okay, so we've leveled all the frets. We want to check with the fret rocker. And this live stream, okay, we're 52 minutes into this live stream. I only got one person watching. So I am going to just check with the fret rocker. And am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. And then I'll take a short break. And then we'll do recrowning in part 4. This is part 3. So why don't we do that? All right, so let's just check everything with the fret rocker. I'm not expecting to find any high spots. Except it's going to start rocking after the 16th fret because that's the fall away. So this is irrelevant here now. But yeah, the frets look good. Like I said, and take a short break right now. It's really going to be a short break because I'm not going to change anything there. I am going to recrown the frets with the guitar still mounted on the neck jig. And that'll be just a recrowning video. And then we'll do a polishing in a separate video, I think. So make sure you click the like button if this helped you in any way, and then, you know, whatever. Yeah. Okay, see you soon.